This is the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla in the Narrowgate Security Agency studios.
So remember what it will take to save our nation. Remember what it's going to take. It's all of us working together at the end of the line here. By God's grace, we will be able to save the nation.
As so many freedom-loving Americans continue to stump for Trump, some are writing about it, others talking about it. But our guest today, well, she's singing about it. Christian recording artist and Donald Trump supporter Vanessa Feltner is here to talk about her new single, Crooked Hillary, and her support for Mr. Trump. Vanessa Feltner coming up. Sarah Palin reflects on the anniversary of 9/11 and calls for renewed support for Israel. Katie Couric is sued, and Governor Palin notices. Hunting season in Alaska with a twist. And a brand new installment of Liberty and Legacy with Tamara Colbert is on the way from Texas. Sarah Steelman is on assignment. Welcome to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. The Palin Update is sponsored by Narrowgate Security Agency. Learn more at narrowgate.com. Crooked Hillary by Vanessa Feltner is available now. The new single in support of Donald Trump demonstrates just how dangerous a Clinton presidency would be and why it is vital to vote Trump.
When you lay down and you close your eyes, do you see Benghazi and the men you let die? They called you, but you slept through the night. Where were you when they lost their lives?
Crooked Hillary by Vanessa Feltner. And right now we welcome Vanessa Feltner to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Vanessa, how are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Thank you for being with us. We are excited to have you, and really, as the listeners just heard, Crooked Hillary, available on iTunes, your new single, and clearly by the title, folks can figure out what it's all about, and after hearing it, they know. But let's ask you first, what drove you to write such a song? I mean, you're a talented Christian recording artist and, someone who has been in the music business for a while, and here you thought you'd had to go political and against Hillary Clinton. Why?
Well, first of all, I have to say this. I believe that Trump is chosen and called by God to save our country. So when he said Crooked Hillary, I have a real aversion to Hillary Clinton to begin with because she's just so very dishonest. And all the way from the beginning, from Arkansas, all they have done is use our people, use our country for their financial gain, for their power, authority, position, influence, whatever they could get, by being in public office. And it's got to the point now where something has to change and our country has to be saved, and I truly believe it's Donald Trump. Now, for me, when I write my songs, every song I write is inspired by God. And I believe so many Christian people right now are calling out to God, and they're praying for God to expose these people that we have in office that are just criminals that are hurting our country, selling out our country. And I believe God gave me this song to help expose Hillary Clinton. People will not read a book. They won't read the net. They won't, but they'll listen to a song and they'll watch a music video.
I'm glad you put it that way as far as a Christian talking about Donald Trump. We've had so many, who may call themselves certain titles, who have questioned Trump is not Republican enough. Trump is not conservative enough. And then the one that really irks me the most, Trump is not a Christian, as if someone can go ahead and take a look at his heart. Why do you believe he's been called to be our president and to help us get out of this mess? And also, I think you'll agree with me, you touched on it just a moment ago, but, these names, Crooked Hillary and Crazy Bernie and Goofy Warren and Lion Ted and the whole thing. I mean, don't people understand? I mean, the reason he's doing this is, like you said, people listen to songs. They also listen to short sound bites. And when you hear this, you look deeper and you say, wait a minute. He's telling the truth about people who are harming our country.
That's right. You're absolutely right. Absolutely. And, as just a little thing like Crooked Hillary, it plants the seed. And then you will acknowledge that in your mind, and you'll start listening, and you'll start paying attention to, wow, she did that. Wow, she did that. That kind of thing. So I don't care if Donald Trump is a Republican or an independent. I don't care what he is. What I care about is he's the man that God wants to save our country. Lots of Christians have been praying and praying. We, save our country, God help our country, etc. And I believe this is the answer to prayer right here. I believe God has given us a chance, to take back our country, because, as a Christian, our country is in a horrible spiritual condition.
Well, we've had many guests on the program in recent weeks, debunking a lot of the false narratives painted against Mr. Trump, and whether it be guns or his take on women or race relations, or the list goes on. But one of them was abortion, and we've had many pro-life activists on this program who are very welcoming of Donald Trump's transformation there and his
I love him.
Evolution toward life. And you would think that people would applaud that and say, great, as Governor Palin did. Governor Palin said, hey, this is wonderful that now Donald Trump has seen the light on the horror that is abortion. And instead, you have some of these self-righteous conservatives, the Never Trump group, these sitting on their hands Republicans who want to try to use that against him instead of saying, all right on, he's on board.
Well, look, those people need to check their own heart with God. A lot of them need to get saved, in my opinion. But I will tell you, when I never watched his TV show. I knew who he was, but I never had an interest to watch his TV show. But when I saw him speak, I discerned him immediately, and I felt a relief, and a confirmation in my spirit that this man is called by God to help us. And I knew from second one, this is the man. And I have never doubted it, and I never had hardly anything to do with politics at all, ever. And yet, I was so drawn to him and this whole thing. And imagine, I'm living in China, and I'm there for 3 years performing, and I'm seeing this on my computer, right? So I quit my job, and I came back to the States so I could be here. And within a month of being home, I'm standing on the stage at the Columbus Trump rally singing the national anthem. This is all a God thing. And God uses the people that he can use for however he needs to use them. And if he wants to use me to write a song like Crooked Hillary and for his, whatever he needs it for, who knows? It might just, someone might hear it and really say, and see the video footage, because the video footage, in my opinion, is very compelling. And maybe they'll change their minds, But right now we have to, if I had anything to say on this this radio show, I would say, Christians, collectively speaking, we are powerful, we are strong, we are mighty in our vote. And if God calls a man to save Christianity, to save the Jewish people in this country, to save our Second Amendment, our right to worship, our rights to bear arms, and you stay home and you don't vote, I believe you're going to be accountable for that, because you need to join together with all the Christians and go down there and vote and save Christianity in this country before it's too late.
And you're an Ohio girl. That state's not very important in presidential elections, right?
Yes. But we're ahead 5 points, the last I heard.
Well, and it goes to say, to your point moments ago about, if someone hears the song and does a little research and it changes a mind here and there, could be the difference in a huge state like Ohio. And you put it that way, Vanessa Feltner's doing more for Donald Trump in a positive way than John Kasich, that's for sure. Well,
John, don't even start me about him. I don't like him at all.
He
has what I call selective integrity. He signed the document. He signed it saying that he would support whoever won. Yep. So apparently he thought it was going to be him. And when he lost, now he won't even support Mr. Trump. Today he said, too much water under the bridge. And I thought, You have no integrity. No integrity whatsoever. No one in Ohio will ever vote for you again.
Now, these guys, they don't care about the Supreme Court. They don't care about what's going to happen. They care about their own political interests, what could happen in 2020.
Right.
It's pathetic, and that's why Mr. Trump's message is resonating so much with so many people. And he's had a good couple of weeks. You know, everyone looking forward to the debates. I think that's his chance to really show that unbelievable difference between him and Hillary Clinton. And I like what you're saying, Vanessa, about Mr. Trump as a whole, too, about how, you know, there's some who are voting for him and making it as if like, oh, well, because I don't want Hillary. I've been with you where this is so exciting that he's the candidate and such a wonderful thing, like you said, for Christians, for Jews, for America.
Exactly. And, you know, people, they got to wake up. They got to wake up. I mean, I could talk to you an hour about all this subject, but from a spiritual point of view, we have to make a change now before it's too late. Absolutely too late. All this refugees coming in, and this is all, in my opinion, this is all a part of the spiritual warfare. Let me tell you something. When I was in China, I was waking up, and God spoke to me, and he said, Vanessa, this is not just a presidential, it's spiritual warfare. Now, you take that and you look at it with a new set of eyes, and you look at that, you discern that with your spirit what's going on in this world right now, especially here in the States. And in Europe with all of the refugees and the battling and all of that. This is a matter of spiritual warfare. So we have to battle this with a lot of prayer and intervene for Mr. Trump. You know, and you look at the preachers and the ministers and the Christians that are rallying around him now. It's just amazing. There's
Great
something
point.
happening.
That's a great point. I was just going to say that. I mean, and every time they try to paint these false narratives, you say, well, wait a minute. He's not conservative? Then why is Sarah Palin backing him? Wait a minute. He's not pro-Second Amendment? Then why is someone like Jan Morgan and the NRA backing him? He's not pro-life? Then, you know, why are pro-life groups backing him? He's not a Christian? Why is Franklin Graham backing him? Okay? We need a libertarian. Why is Rand Paul backing him? I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And it's this, you know, they try to qualify just to fit their own needs and say, well, yeah, well, that doesn't really count. I mean, you know, it's just...
It's a God thing.
It's like how you mentioned Kasich. It's that kind of thing. Well, listen, Vanessa, we started the program, let people hear a bit of Crooked Hillary. I want to leave with people hearing some of your other important single here in this election. I'm ready to make America great again. And, you know, let's hope that is the case, and it's wonderful that you're so excited for Mr. Trump, and we hope that you know, we have some great news coming up in less than 2 months.
We're going to. You know, I read an article yesterday that and I don't know if it's true or not because I didn't get a chance to check it, where it said Hillary was thinking about passing on the debate, and I about fell over when I read that because everybody knows that she is in no physical condition to stand up to Mr. Trump for an hour and 30 minutes.
Well, you fell over figuratively, and she fell over literally. But you know, hey, listen, I mentioned this to my kids just the other day. I said I would not be surprised if that this was just laying the groundwork to say, oh wait, Monday comes in Hofstra, oh, she's not feeling well, we're going to have to miss this debate, because as you know, those 3 debates and the Pence Kaine debate are going to be such slam dunks for the Republican ticket that, you know, you could see why a person and a party so hell-bent on just power would want to avoid it, because they just don't have any right answers, and they will be exposed.
This is going to be like David and Goliath. You know, he already took down 16, and if you know, that's God moving in an incredible way, and he took down 16 opponents. 16. I mean, who does that? And everybody's saying everything under the sun bad about him, and he can't win, and blah, 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 blah. I never hesitated and never wavered. I just had this feeling he's going to win, and down they went, just like dominoes, 16 of them. And now we're at the David and Goliath point.
I like that. Maybe some Make America Great Again slingshots.
Yeah, that's a brilliant idea, actually.
Why not? Why not? Well, Vanessa,
David
thank
and
you.
Goliath, and he's going to take him down.
Thank you for being with us, Vanessa. Thank you for your music, and let's talk again.
Let's do. Thank you so much for having me.
There's a man out on the street. He bows his head and prays. Won't you help me, please, Lord? I need a job today.
For more on Vanessa Feltner's music, visit SoundCloud.com. On the anniversary of 9/11, Sarah Palin took to Facebook to write this. Arming Israel's enemies is deplorable. Note to Hillary supporters on the solemn anniversary of 9/11 terrorist attacks. Remember, her short-sighted interventionist doctrine helped expand the tinderbox that is the Middle East. This, of course, created leadership vacuums on Team Obama's watch that were filled with even more extreme jihadists, including ISIS. A trumpet will sound to drown out the lies of this administration. Here's one take on what transpired. It is deplorable. To see the article Palin references, check out the Mama Grizzly Radio Facebook page. Katie Couric has been slapped with a $12 million lawsuit alleging defamation in an anti-gun film. Sarah Palin wrote about it on social media, saying shooting back against Katie Couric's deceptive presentations in a gun documentary is good news. It's a shame it takes a lawsuit to force journalists to acknowledge their unethical practices, but if their clouded conscience lets them sleep at night amidst feeding the public lies, then litigation must awaken them to the public's right and expectation to read, see, and hear truth. Let's be thankful the parties suing the perky one have sharp people in their corner with the tools and the guts to go after those who've not been held accountable for far too long. Meantime, in Alaska, watching a bear cross the road is not a joke. This stuff happens. Sarah Palin this past week wrote online, it's hunting season here in Alaska, and we're out in the boonies looking for wild animals and hiding, but some of these bears can't resist pulling an in-your-face by hiding right under our noses. And Palin features a video of a bear walking the streets of downtown Anchorage. You can check it out on the Mama Grizzly Radio Facebook page. To see any of the governor's posts in their entirety, visit Sarah Palin's Facebook page, follow her on Twitter at Sarah Palin USA, and check out sarahpac.com.
Now, the Palin Update with Kevin Scholla presents Liberty and Legacy. Here's Tamara Colbert.
On this day, September 17, 1789, our Constitution was finalized, and 39 brave men signed their names to what would eventually become the longest-standing national constitution of any nation in the history of the world. Leading up to this moment was the Philadelphia Convention, or what we know as the Constitutional Convention. And there was great debate in the hall in Philadelphia as well as around the nation. These men were divided on the issue of federal versus states and individual rights. The Philadelphia Convention was desperately needed because the Articles of Confederation languished during the Revolutionary War. The most important aspect of the Articles of Confederation was that it established a solid foundation of greatness. But eventually, our leaders knew more would be needed to really solidify America as a republic, as an independent nation. When I think about this today, it reminds me that America is still at the pinnacle of nations in world history, regardless of where we are right now and the struggles that we go through, the ups and downs like anybody. And just as the framers had to convince those 9 states to ratify the Constitution, you and I need to do that today with friends and neighbors and young people. We need to remind them that the Constitution is still relevant, that it is an amazing document, and that our nation and people can thrive and grow, achieve, explore, and invent on these same exceptionally founded principles. The preamble of the Constitution says, "We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." Colonel George Mason, he had argued for a Bill of Rights to protect the individual. Quote, if the government should become oppressive. Remember, those men in Philadelphia experienced what it was like to live under a repressive and an oppressive monarch in King George. In 1789, James Madison put forward the Bill of Rights that had 12 amendments, which closely echoed the Virginia Declaration of Rights that was originally written also by Colonel George Mason in 1776. 10 of Madison's were eventually adopted into what we now know and is in our Constitution as the Bill of Rights, which are really what the bedrock of American beliefs: freedoms of religion, speech, the press, the right for us to keep and bear arms, and the right of people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable search and seizure. But neither Madison nor Mason could ever have imagined what life centuries into the future would hold. And yet, back then, in 1789, they identified individual rights that, regardless of era or circumstances, remain fundamental to individual liberty. I don't know about you, but I believe our Constitution, our Declaration, and our founding era was divinely inspired through imperfect men, and of course, imperfect yet as perfect as they can be documents. And Delaware gets the props for being the first state to ratify the Constitution. All of Delaware's commissioners voted unanimously in favor of it on December 3rd, 1789. And then right away followed Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Georgia, Connecticut, and Massachusetts. By the way, Rhode Island was the lone holdout. Not only did they not send any delegates to the Philadelphia Convention, but they outright rejected the Constitution. Today, the Convention of States Projects uses that same fervor and passion for freedom that Colonel George Mason had, as well as his passion for individual rights, to use Article 5 to call an amending convention to fix some of these structural issues plaguing our nation. We can thank Colonel George Mason again for his brilliance, his divinely inspired brilliance that also included the second half of Article 5, allowing the states the ability to convene under a specific subject to propose amendments to the Constitution. This essentially is the fourth check and balance that you didn't learn in elementary or high school civics class. Article 5 is the way of restoring the rule of law and Constitution, and it is the most revolutionary and radical idea that can bring us back to our founding principles that have made America the beacon of hope to the oppressed all over the world. This has been a big week in Texas. First, our Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick publicly endorsed the Convention of States and said it would be one of his highest legislative priorities in our next session that begins in January. And then the Texas executive team had the honor of getting asked to come to the governor's office to meet with Governor Greg Abbott. We had a great 30 minutes of strategy, counsel, and connecting over this incredible constitutional emergency button that is Article 5. You know, it was humbling to realize we invited to the governor's office as subservient, but rather we were invited as equals. The governor created this opportunity for us to share with him. He wanted to know, what were the grassroots saying? What were we doing in Texas? And that opportunity to pick his brain, and he got to pick ours. It is this mutual affection that we have with our Texas governor for this provident article, as my co-director here in Texas calls it, that connects the Texas grassroots and our state leaders. This is exactly the symbiotic relationship that our founders intended citizens to have with their government. We're slowly repairing that within our states, and we certainly are not even close to having that with our federal legislators. Today, we have 1.5 million grassroots activists working in all 50 states to educate and train legislators and citizens to the real power that we have inherent in the Constitution. This week, September 21st through the 23rd, Citizens for Self-Governance kicks off the first ever Article 5 amending Convention of States in Colonial Williamsburg to review the procedures and the precedent that would make this type of convention possible. Regardless of what is happening in the election process as we get closer to November 8th, the most important thing happening this fall is proving to the states and our citizens that they are indeed in charge, and we have the authority to rein in an ever-growing federal government. We have that power. It's an amazing thing. Thank you, Colonel George Mason. Thank you to those 39 brave Americans who signed their names to the United States Constitution, thus making America the freest, most amazing, prosperous, and ingenious nation in the history of the world. You can join me at conventionofstates.com. But I want to know what you think, so tweet me this week at Tamara Colbert, hashtag Mama Grizz, Grizz Radio. Have a blessed week. And remember, today, go pick up, dust off that Constitution and read it. Read it with your family. And please, say the preamble aloud and read Article 5. Have a great week, everybody. I'm Tamara Colbert for Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tamara Colbert in Texas. Tune in for more Liberty and Legacy next week. And to learn about Convention of States, head to conventionofstates.com. The Palin Update, including Liberty and Legacy and Steel Resolve, is on demand and available for download. So just head to mamagrizzlyradio.com, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Visit mamagrizzlyradio.com for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also, like Mama Grizzly Radio on Facebook and follow along on Twitter at Mama Grizz Radio, at Kevin Scholla, at Tamara Colbert, and at Sarah_Steelman. And I'm doing some work for Breitbart News. Go to Breitbart.com and search Kevin Scholla. I want to thank Sarah Steelman, Tamara Colbert, and everyone here at Mama Grizzly Radio. Thanks to Vanessa Feltner. And thank you for listening today. A special thanks to our sponsor, Narrowgate Security Agency. Visit narrowgate.com. The Palin Update is produced by Lena Anderson, the Andy L. Kramer, and Lori Ann Lewis. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.